Hi teachers, this video training is to help you think about some ways to organize your Google Classroom so as not to create frustration for families and students. Keep in mind these are all suggestions. You have to adapt to what works best for you and your students, and making sure that you're not overwhelming families during this time. So I'm going to start with the stream and a couple of different things you can do with your stream to help better organize things. So first off, you kind of need to decide the purpose of your stream. Do you want just announcements and dialogue with your class to show up on the screen? And by dialogue, I mean your students writing comments or making posts if you give them that option. Do you want your classwork to show up on your stream? So if you put your classwork on your screen, I'm going to turn that on for just a moment. So I went into my settings. And I'm going to first do the condensed notifications. So if I put my classwork on my stream, I can see all of my assignments showing up here as well. Keep in mind that things show up in the order in which you create them, with the newest thing being at top. So just as you're using your stream, if you post a lot of things and they're not always posted in order, keep in mind that they're not going to appear in the order you want them on your stream, because they're going to appear in the order that you created them. For example, I created the reading and writing first, the math, and then I created the optional week 1. I probably wouldn't want my optional to be on top. So something to keep in mind if you're using the stream for that purpose. I'm going to turn my notifications back off. So then now the only thing I see on here is weekly announcement that I would post each week for students and share. A couple other things that you can do is when you go to post weekly announcements, if you decide to post them on your stream, you do have the option to schedule them. So I would strongly recommend scheduling your weekly announcements for whatever day you want them to release. That way they don't show up beforehand. The other thing is if you're scheduling, you can't schedule to more than one class at a time. So that at first sounds a little frustrating, but there's a pretty easy way to get around that. So I can't schedule to more than one class. In fact, if I try to schedule to, let me pick another one of my classes. This class here, notice schedule is grayed out. However, if I go into that other class that I want to schedule for, I can actually use this cool option called reuse post. So if I were to go into, we're going to go into this other class, I want to put the same announcement here and schedule it in this class too. I click the reuse post button. I'm going to go back, I find the classroom where that post is at. I click on the post and I click reuse. That whole post will pop up and then I can schedule it in this classroom. The nice thing about this is then that way you can use the same assignments across classrooms, but don't necessarily have to use them during the same week or release them at the same time. So let's go back over to my planning class. Okay, so I can do that. The other thing I can do is if I have something that's really important that I need students to get to right away, like my weekly announcement, I can always move this back up to the top. So for example, in the meantime, I create another post, students are responding. I'm going to move this to the top. So it's going to move my announcement back up so that way my posts stay underneath. Do keep in mind that this does not pin it to the top, it simply moves it to the top at that time. So you would need to monitor this if you want something to constantly stay at the top. Okay, we're going to delete that sample post. You can delete things to clear things up. So after time, if you're finding certain things are just not practical, delete them. Okay, that's stream. Let's talk classwork. So classwork, couple of things to help you get organized. First, create topics, make sure your topics are clear. So topics are these big orange words here. In mine, the topics will be whatever color your classroom is. I like to create the topics for week and then enrichment. I think it's very clear to students so that they know which things to click on. That way, when we get to the next week, I would just put the next week at the top. A couple people asked, is it possible to hide old things? Sadly, it isn't right now in Classroom. So your only option is to delete. I very much caution you from deleting our work during this time. That way, in case the family does get behind and all of a sudden needs to catch up on work, they always have the capability of doing so. So the nice thing about your topics is you can drag them up and down. So each week when you do a new week of learning, I would simply drag that new topic up to the top. I can click on that topic to expand all the assignments, or I can click back to see the abbreviated version. So you'll notice I designed this work with an intermediate classroom in mind. With that intermediate class, I literally have 4 posts for the week. It doesn't mean there's only 4 things to do. There's a little more than that, but they're pretty simple. So I tried to use the words that would resonate with families. So for example, watch first. I want them to watch that weekly announcement first. I'm going to get rid of this topic because I don't want there to confuse families. So watch first. Watch this video before you get started on your work. Here's my sample announcement. Notice my sample announcement is only 4 minutes long. So you want to really try at all possible. Videos for almost any level should be 5 minutes or under. For primary, probably 3 minutes or under. Attention spans and watching videos, students like videos, but you can very quickly be tuned out if you're going on for more than 5 minutes. Which I'm probably not a good example because this video right now is at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so reading and writing, one other way that I can organize the work for students is by getting everything, all those attachments for that subject in one area. Keep in mind that 20 minutes each day or half hour each day or 15 minutes, whatever your time guideline is from the district, that does not mean a new activity for 15 minutes each day. Your activities need to include how long it takes students to sign in, how long it takes them to read your directions, watch your videos, view your lesson, and complete the work. All that should be considered in your time limit. So notice here, I've really clearly written out day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 5, and end of week. Doing something like this or using dashes to almost create bullets helps keep it a little bit more organized. If I have more instructions for students, like read the directions and complete one or both, in day 4, 5, the directions are in the document. It's keeping it simple, not too many attachments in there as well. For math, I think there's 4 attachments. So math, here's day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 5. So they're gonna watch a video on day 1. Yes, this video is only 4 minutes, but keeping in mind, I'm asking them to also watch my weekly announcement. They'll have reading and writing to do. And then by the time they get in and figure everything out, that 4-minute video plus all that other stuff is probably going to take them 20 minutes to do. Day 2, they have an area builder to explore. Day 3, there is the thinking document. In day 4, they are going to sign in to Go Math and do a Go Math activity, which there is a direct link, so this auto signs them into Go Math. Takes one step out of going back into Clever. Then there's an optional. So I kept all the optional activities for week 1 all in one assignment. I tried to have an optional activity for the different subject areas. This will depend on your grade level. Sometimes your optional activities may be more complex, but there may be less activities. So So there's 4 different things here students can do that they hit on all of our different subject areas. And it's very clear here. They're all optional. They can complete all, some, or none. Have fun. They don't need to turn in their work, but they certainly can. So organizing things, compiling so that you have more than one link in an assignment can help you stay organized as well.